Creativity researchers have the strangest obsession with letters. Psychologists came up with the 4 P's of creativity, which are person, process, press, and product. There's an even new generation of thinkers who prefer A's, which are action, actor, audiences, affordances, and artifacts. And if that's not enough, there's the 4 C's, which we'll get to in a second. Now, each one of these letters helps explain a different way to see creativity, because creativity isn't one thing. It's a network of people, ideas, actions, events, environments, all melding together. Hey guys, this is Abel, and I'm here to share with you all the creativity research that I've gotten my hands on. I have a lot of books back there about creativity, and I love talking about it, and I hope that you can get tips, tricks, strategies, or anything that you can get your hands on out of these videos to help you rethink and shape your creativity as a whole. So, welcome to Creativity Arcade. Now, the 4 P's came from a psychologist named Mel Rhodes in 1962. Now, he wanted a way to categorize all the messy research about creativity that was piling up. So he said, why not categorize it all? I'm simplifying, but that's essentially what happened. Now, the first P stands for person. This is the study of who is creative. What traits, personality types, or quirks are more likely to get someone to generate new ideas? Think of Picasso, Marie Curie, or Steve Jobs, people who seem to be wired to challenge norms. Psychologists here might look at traits like openness to experience, risk tolerance, or intrinsic motivation. But person doesn't have to mean genius. A creative person could be a teacher crafting new ways to reach students, or a nurse finding faster ways to organize patient rounds. The person approach shows us that creativity is personal before it becomes public. Next comes process. This is where we zoom in on the thinking behind creativity. What happens in the brain when someone has an aha moment? Do they make sudden leaps or slow logical steps? Think of a musician at the moment they're playing an improv, responding note by note to a fellow band member. That's process. Process studies explore things like divergent thinking, or problem finding, or incubation. Those quiet moments where things stew in the unconscious. It's creativity in the process of doing something. The third P is product. This is about what gets created. A scientific theory, a painting, a video game, an app. They're all creative products. But here's the catch. For something to be considered creative, as academic Teresa Amabile put in her definition of creativity, it has to be both new and appropriate. So an invention that's new but useless, not creative. A work of art that's perfect but copied, also not creative. In this sense, as late researcher Professor Csikszentmihalyi put in his systems model of creativity, as we'll see in another video, it's a judgment call, decided by a community, a culture, and or a field of experts. Now, the fourth P stands for press, which is basically our environment or context. Where does creativity thrive? Is it in quiet solitude or in collaboration? Think of how Google or Pixar designed their offices with open spaces, casual meetup areas, or even cereal bars to have spontaneous interaction. It's the condition that press creativity out of us. Schools, workplaces, or even family can nurture this or stifle it. Now, the alphabet of creativity doesn't stop at the P's. It keeps evolving. In 2013, psychologist Vlad Glaveanu proposed a modern remix, a new framework called the 5 A's. It was his way of updating Rhodes' classic model for a new interconnected world. One where creativity doesn't just happen alone in a studio or in a lab, but in collaboration, conversation, or culture. The first A is actor. Now, the person model from before focuses on internal traits. Is the person open-minded? Are they curious? Do they take risks? But Glaveanu's actor sees the creator in motion. An actor doesn't exist in a vacuum. They're shaped by the world around them, their culture, their community, their opportunities, their limitations. Think of an artist in 1920s Brooklyn compared to someone growing up in modern-day France. Both might be equally creative, but their worlds, their audience, their tools, their expectations change how their creativity unfolds. Creativity in this sense is more social. Next comes action. It replaces process, and this shift matters. Process sounds like something you'd be doing in an experiment, something you study from the outside. But action brings creativity to life. It's the brush hitting the canvas, the scientist mixing chemicals, the coder building prototypes. Action emphasizes that creativity is not just a mental process. It's in the gestures, tools, materials, and timing. Every creative act is a dialogue between thought and movement, between intention and discovery. The third A is artifact. It replaces product, but it carries a different weight. A product is something you sell. An artifact is something you leave behind. It could be a painting, a melody, or a piece of code. Or it could be a cultural ritual that gets passed on. Artifacts tell stories not just of what was made, but how and why it's made. Every creative artifact is a message from a moment in time. Now the fourth A is audience. It's what happens when creativity leaves the creator's hands. Every artist, inventor, or designer needs an audience, even if that audience is one person. They're the people who interpret, validate, or even challenge their work. Sometimes they're collaborators, other times they're critics. Now that goes without saying that audience shapes creativity. Consider a musician playing live. Every reaction, every cheer or silence changes how they perform. Creativity becomes a feedback loop in this case. It's like a living conversation between maker and listener. And the fifth A, maybe the most intriguing, is affordances. Affordances are the possibilities that the world offers us for action. A painter's brush, a synthesizer, a camera, maybe even a blank Google Doc. Each of these affords certain possibilities and limits others. The tools we use also shape creativity. When Picasso experimented with collage, you can say he was responding to new affordances in modern day life. Newspapers, advertisements, photography create new affordances for collaboration and expression. And when you put all the 5 A's together, actor, action, artifact, audience, and affordances, creativity starts looking less like an individual spark and more like a living network of things interacting with each other between moment to moment. It's the actor interacting with the world, using the tools that they have to produce artifacts that resonate with the audience. It's not about the isolated genius anymore. It's about connection, about creativity as a social process. Glavianu's model shows us that creativity isn't born in silence. And every invention, song, or idea isn't something that's born by itself. It's a part of a larger thing, between people, tools, and time. And that brings us to our last set of letters. If the A's and P's explains how creativity works, the C's explain how creativity grows and scales, from small personal sparks to world-changing brilliance. The 4 C's of creativity maps the entire journey. Think of the 4 C's as the scaling of creativity to the monumental achievements that echo throughout history. Psychologists James C. Kaufman and Ronald Beghetto developed this model to see how creativity develops, not just what it is. They called it mini C, little c, big C, and pro C. Now let's start small with mini C. This is the beginning of creativity. It's the moment when a child first realizes that she can draw something that didn't exist before. It's the moment when you learn a new chord on a guitar and you feel something click. It's personal, private, and meaningful only to you. Mini C creativity doesn't have to impress anybody. It just has to be new to the creator. Now next comes little c, the creativity of everyday life. It's the home cook who invents new recipes. Little c is where most human creativity lives. In stories, designs, songs, and clever workarounds that just make life a little bit more easier. It's personal, yes, but it's also shared. And that's the main idea. Others can appreciate it, build on it, and relate to it. Then there's Pro C, professional creativity. This is where skill meets expertise. It's the chef who experiments with flavor combinations, the filmmaker refining their visual language, and the scientist building a theory after years of research. A Pro C creator earns a living, not necessarily fame, but produce works respected in their field. They've moved from spontaneous flashes of creativity to disciplined mastery. It's what happens when play becomes craft. Finally, we reach Big C. This is Mozart, Frida Kahlo, Marie Curie, Einstein, the legends whose creativity reshaped their fields. Big C isn't just about brilliance, it's about legacy. When a work continues to inspire and provoke even after the creator is long gone. But even Big C creators begin at Mini C, curious, clumsy, and full of wonder. It shows us that genius can be a path that begins with play. All 4 C's flow into one another. Mini C sparks little c refines into Pro C, and Pro C with time, vision, and discipline may evolve into Big C. It's a lifespan, a reminder that your creativity is always in motion. And here's the paradox that psychologists discovered. People who make the most things are often the ones who make the best things. Quantity feeds quality. Creativity, as it turns out, thrives on doing things again and again and again, until insights emerge from repetition. So why all these letters? Because defining creativity isn't just semantics. It's the foundation for how we study it, teach it, and nurture it. When you see creativity, for example, through the 4 Ps, you begin to realize that it's a system. And if we want to be more creative, we can just tinker with those parts. Change the person, learn a new habit of mind. Change the process, use incubation, analogies, brainstorming. Change the product, refine what's good. Change the press, build environments that allow creativity to breathe. Now that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed all the letters that have to do with creativity. And shout out to James C. Kaufman for writing this book, Creativity 101, which taught me about the letters of creativity. And yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. And I would really appreciate it if you shared this video with someone who's going through the process of trying to be more creative, a student of creativity, or just to a friend who's interested in creativity. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you again in another video. Goodbye.